world, let's chat it up. We're talking competitions, uniforms, and all of the above. It's the Cheer Mom, yes, the Cheer Mom podcast. Cheer Mom, yes, the Cheer Mom podcast. Cheer Moms, your podcast is on.
New hyperfixation obsession has been unlocked. Are you guys ready for this? Now, I still love true crime. I'm still following Karen Reed, which it's over, but it's not over. If those of you, if you know, it's not over. She's been exonerated. She's innocent. However, Trooper Proctor wants his job back, and there's still the civil suit, and there's a movie coming out, and all of those things. So it's still, that's an ongoing hobby. But hyperfixation is a thing. And right now I am fixated on, wait for it, the Ohio State University Marching Band, also known as, excuse my swearing, but the best damn band in the land. They are incredible. I've always wanted to, I don't know if I talked about this on the podcast. I definitely talked about it on Instagram stories, where I actually a couple of years ago documented some bucket list items. Like, I have a bucket list and I want to write them down so I'll remember them, but also so I can be like, look, this is on my bucket list. And because I think people use the term bucket list as like, just like, oh, this is a cool thing, and I'm realizing it now. Like, no, like I have values, and these are my things that I'm going to do before I die. And one of them is to see the OSU marching band live and in person at a home game. And I feel like we can make that happen pretty soon. OSU cheerleading team, you guys, let's collab. Can we collab? I don't even need a field pass for during the game. I would love to be on the field at any football game, but I want to sit at the top. I want to sit at the top and look down and watch Script Ohio. It's a whole thing, and it's not just, so if you don't know what I'm talking about, surely you have seen them. They've been in like commercials and stuff. It's the marching band that like does the really cool shapes and like the walking man, and they do all kinds of stuff. But what's even cooler than that is all of their traditions and the way that they hype each other up. And it's just, I'm obsessed. And I've spent half of my day looking at that, and the other half having political related conversations over text with people. It took me a really long time. It was a hair washing day today. So that took a long time, because when I wash my hair, I do it on a day that's strategic, like today, where I'm recording podcast intros. And so then I spend a lot of time on my makeup. And before I know it, it's like 2:30 in the afternoon, and I'm just sitting down really to do official computer work. Anyway, so it's already been a day, but I am obsessed with the OSU marching band. Buckeyes, hook a girl up. Come on now. Speaking of the hookup, are you a member yet? If you have not heard about it, or you have been putting it off or going, oh, I should do that, I should look into the membership, do not waste any time. I am so excited. We already have members coming in, and I'm just so honored that you guys are members. And remember that the first 20 members will be entered into a drawing for the Cheer Mom podcast merchandise item of your choice. I'm wearing the crew neck that says unsubscribed from the Cupid Shuffle. There are hats, there's the t-shirt. You can choose anything that you like from the shop, and you get a $50 gift card to TCC Jewelry for some of that spirit themed jewelry that you hear me talking about. I'm going to pick 2 winners out of the first 20 members. And to become a member, you can just tap into the description of this podcast episode, and the link will be there. But for the cost of a Starbucks each month, you will get ad-free podcast episodes. Every single episode that you get will be without any ads at all, even the cool ones read by me. Ad-free content. You guys will get exclusive giveaway opportunities. You'll have a chance to record or be behind the scenes of a recording of certain podcast episodes with me. There's chances for live Q&As. There's a private community. Have I mentioned giveaways? Just all kinds of bonus stuff for just $8 a month. And what that does is it supports the podcast literally to keep it going. I am currently a one-man show with all of the outreach, the recording, the editing, the tech, the promotion, and all of that. And I am happy to do that. It takes a lot of time. So, and there are only 24 hours in the day. So having that financial support really does support it keeps the show going, whether that's through hiring help or maybe making it a part-time job for me. I mean, I'm just being honest and open with you guys. I am not raking in the dough when it comes to this podcast. I love doing it. I love meeting you guys, but it does take a tremendous amount of time and resources to bring you the podcast that you know, love, and enjoy. So I promise to make it worth your while. $8 a month. That's skipping your Starbucks one day a week. That's cashing in your spare coins from the laundry. $8 is all that I need and all that I'm asking for. And I'm hoping to give you so much more value in return month after month. Speaking of amazing podcasts that have been going and going and going, today's guest is the OG, one of the OG cheer podcasters that I know so many of you know and love and listen to on a regular basis. Jason Larkins, host of the Let's Talk Cheer podcast, a dear friend of mine. If you don't know Jason or don't listen to his podcast, hop on over to the Let's Talk Cheer podcast. I was a guest very recently on his podcast as well. And we talked a lot about what gym owners or coaches should do in certain scenarios and what cheer parents would do in certain scenarios. And today on my show, we're talking about the flex division, the wild, wild west of cheerleading. And he always has a hot take on relevant cheer conversations. And I always love talking with him. And if you haven't heard, he has a new book that just came out, hot off the presses. It's called Upside Down and Back Again. It's a parent's guide to All Star Cheerleading. He holds nothing back. He tells it like it is. He creates this transparency in cheer that we are all looking for. And it's a great book. He's got such a wonderful heart toward us cheer parents and the industry in general. It's available on, I know it's available on Amazon, and I think anywhere you can get books, but especially on Amazon. And yours truly wrote the foreword of said book. So I got to read it like before anyone else. I felt super special and even more honored that Jason asked me to write the foreword. And I'm excited for you guys to read the book and tell Jason and tell me what you think about it and the information that has been beneficial to you from what Jason is putting out into the world. I may be able to school him on all things Hamilton, but he can definitely school me on all things cheer, literally everything cheer. He knows so much about, and he is an open book when it comes to opinions and information. He knows he's such a friendly guy. Like, he knows everyone in the industry and is not shy about introductions. He's just a good guy to know. So go and support him too on his podcast and pick up his book on Amazon. Hit that subscribe button, especially if you are watching or listening on YouTube. YouTube won't let me have a membership community until I have a certain amount of subscribers. So hit the subscribe button on YouTube and wherever you listen to your podcast. Head over to the membership link in the description of this episode, $8 a month, and head over to the cheermomshop.com where you can get this lovely unsubscribed from the Cupid Shuffle crew neck. The weather is cooling down in most places, so you're gonna want the little crew neck to wear when you drive around. There's a cute hoodie. Like I said, there's some cute hats. You'll get a note from me with your order and a couple little freebies. So cheermomshop.com. I think I've asked everything that I need to ask of you today. And without further ado, here's my conversation with Jason. I'm not going to answer that question. I just had a joke. Okay. What's up, Jason Larkins?
You know, I used to coach this kid named Samantha Howard. Shout out to Sam Howard, one of my favorite kids I've ever coached. beginning of practice, I always say, what's up to all the kids? What's up? What's up? What's up? Every time without fail. Actually, it wasn't Sam Howard. This was Bree. Sam would get me with something else. Sam would get me with she'd missed my hand. It was Bree Murphy. When I go, what's up, Bree? She'd go, the sky. She'd get me with it every single day. What's up? She'd go, the sky, coach. You haven't learned? I go, every day you get me with this. Sam, I go to dap her up and she'd miss. So, Kristen, the sky, the ceiling, the roof is
I wonder
up.
if Bree was a dad in a previous life.
Maybe she was. Oh, Bree.
What a dad.
Bree
What a
Murphy.
dad
Shout out to
joke.
Bree Murphy.
Hey, listen, this is not your podcast to just shout out whatever you want. I follow true crime, and the listeners know, but the Karen Reid trial wrapped up not that long ago, and one of the experts, one of the experts, he has his PhD in engineering, a very specific field of engineering, had all of this expert knowledge, and he's testifying at trial, and he gets on and he does this all the time. He testifies at trials for a living, and he gets on the stand and he's like, I would just like to wish my son a happy birthday, Jacob. And he kept name dropping and kept doing weird things like that. The judge was like, okay, that's
what are we doing, guy?
The district attorney was like, objection. It's not.
Dude.
What are we doing? Wishing our son a happy birthday on a high profile, nationally televised case.
Kristen, I have not told you this, but I told this to my listeners a while ago, but it kept getting delayed, but it's happening. I'm going to be an expert witness in a case coming up soon.
No way.
It's supposed to happen in September. So
wow, what are you an expert witness in?
I'm an expert
cheerleading.
The proper ways to spot a cheerleader. Apparently there was a coach not spotting the proper way, if you catch my drift. So
I catch it. Yeah.
So I'll be saying, the lower
expert.
Back. Not that low.
Not anywhere else.
Yeah. So true. So there you go.
Expert witnesses for everyone listening out there. You can charge big bucks to be an expert witness in your field. I'm just saying.
I didn't know that.
You're not. You're not charging money, Jason?
No, I just want justice to be served. My civic duty.
No, jury duty is your civic duty. If someone needs you, this guy's counterpart in the trial I was just telling you about, the witness the expert that disagreed with him, charged over $300,000 to do what he did.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, it was excessive.
Email her. Be like, hey, what's my compensation like? We haven't talked about this yet. We haven't talked about compensation yet. What
Expert witnesses, man. I have a cheer mom friend whose husband is an expert witness in a very specific field, and I was like, ooh, that's good money, isn't it? She's like, oh yeah.
There we go. All right, any of the other lawyers out there, any cheer mom lawyers, you need an expert cheer witness, your boy. I'm probably cheaper than anyone else you can get, so if you need me, I know lots of things.
Another plug you're using my podcast for. It's fine. We have. I'm
September
sure
18th, Upside Down and Back Again. New book coming out.
We're gonna get to that. I planned for that one.
Hey.
Oh my gosh. So how was your summer? How was your start to the season, the cheer season?
The summer was great. I did significantly less travel. I used to travel every weekend, and I was, if someone wanted my wife and I to come out to their gym and work with their kids, I was there. And, and that combined with coaches conferences, I was gone every weekend. That used to be pretty normal. But as now we have our second daughter. Shout out to Journey. Am I allowed to do that?
We can shout out to the 6-month-old.
There you go. So shout out to Journey. But now that we have 2 kids, I've just wanted, to stay at home and spend a lot more time, obviously, with the family. So I still really enjoy coaches conferences. So I did a couple coaches conferences. I have one more to do coming up here in a couple weeks. But yeah, so basically just spent more time with the family. You know, we did a couple little vacations, and it was great. And obviously the cheer gym is going. We're rocking and rolling. So glad to be back in the gym with the kids. You know, they're all back from summer break, and we're going. I'm excited for this cheer season. So
How many teams do you have this season?
We have 11. So we actually went down one prep team and one elite team and just made all the teams bigger. We actually have more kids than we had last year, but just decided to, I think all of our teams are medium this year, except for our co-ed 4. We're a small co-ed 4 this year, but got a full 22, 23 if we count our alternate. Yeah, you know, we're going.
Fun. And there have been a lot of developments in the cheer world over the last several months with the announcement of the Pro Cheer League, which is very exciting. I know you had an episode on your show with Bill Seeley. How'd you land that one? How did you do it?
You know, me and Bill, we old friends. We're old friends.
You're not that old, Larkins.
Dude, you know, he actually, no joke, when I had him on the pod the first time, I was telling him about how sportsmanship has come a long way in the industry, because I have a video of when we won UCA All Star Nationals, and Bill's on the mic announcing it. And as soon as he says second place, he says Lex. As soon as he says Lex, and we knew it wasn't San Diego, right? Like we knew we won. We are jumping and screaming, and we're rolling around, and have this video of us just going crazy as soon as he announces second place or whatever. And so anyway, not that I knew him back then, but you know, we had our moment in 2002 when we won UCA, and he was the person on the microphone announcing it. Now we're very polite and we wait, let second place have their moment, and you know. But back then, as soon as you knew you were the champs, you got to go crazy. But my sister got really big at UCA All Star, not UCA All Star. She got really big in UCA staff, and eventually moved to Memphis and was corporate. But because she was a big time like UCA head instructor, whatever, she knew Bill, and just because of my sister, like I knew Bill, and then I did Team USA in 2011, and so then he would come and hang out with Team USA, and you know, so I think I really like met him like during Team USA.
Gotcha. So that's an interesting concept that I have yet to, I'm not going to say complain about, but sort of untangle here on the podcast, is this idea of no shade or shame to second place teams. Second place teams, especially at the NCA, UCA, World, Summit, All-Star Worlds, at any level, a second place team, that's huge. What's a nice way to ask this?
Just ask it. Yo, this is the Cheer Mom podcast. So you keep it real.
We're
not sparing feelings.
Events. There are some events that don't call out the second place team. They call out third place, and then they call out the winner. So, and I do understand the notion that everybody deserves for their name to be called. But it just, to me, feels like, and in second place, it's still that sting of, oh, we could have gotten first. And you're still hearing people trying not to roll on the floor and scream their heads off. I mean, the
crowd doesn't do anything, or not do anything. The crowd doesn't help, right? The kids do a decent job. The kids try to do a decent job.
They really do.
The coaches try, but the parents, blah! We won!
And again, so how about you? Can you advocate for calling out second place before first place?
Yeah, you know, they did it at Worlds a few years ago, and I get it, like, because I got what they were like trying to do, like you're trying to explain. It's like it is hard to like contain those emotions, right? Because you put everything into trying to win these events, you know, and these are like literal dreams come true, right? When you win, right? And so you just have, for anyone who hasn't won or had their athlete win one of these big events, you cannot describe it. It is just, it's euphoric, right? And so I understand like the point of like, yo, let's just cut to the chase and call out the national champion or the world champion or whatever. But it is weird because, we just don't do that. I don't know. I think I would prefer that we stick to and in second place, this team and really do give them, their moment to shine. Because as much as some of these teams are very disappointed that they didn't win, not TGLC, even TGLC, but Revs versus Black Ops. Like one of those teams is obviously upset that they got second. But when something happens and a team creeps all the way up, I remember Vision All Stars 2020. They crept all the way up to like third place or second place one year.
You don't hear your name and you thought that you were going to hear it much earlier. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like those teams, when they're thinking they were in fifth place and they called fifth and now they called fourth and now they called third and they call you in second and those kids are ecstatic, they want to hear their name be called.
Yeah. Okay.
That's
fair.
And celebrate
That's fair.
it.
I can be on board. I can be on board. I guess I'm just a sucker for the dramatic big reveal.
Yeah,
and,
I love it.
Like I love at majors how the winners are just displayed on the screen and you just get to see that you win. And I guess I'm just a sucker for like the big, like the kabuki drop, as it were. But okay, so cheer over the summer has had some developments. The flex division has been a hot topic these last several months. You're in the Facebook groups just like I am, and it's tapered off a little, but the flex division has been a big point of discussion. What can you, for anybody who doesn't know what the flex division is listening to this right now, can you explain what it is?
Flex divisions. So it's a new age grouping. So it's basically two new age groupings, youth flex and junior flex. And so we have traditional youth, which is off the top of my head, maybe like 8 to 12 years old, something like that, 8 to 11 years old. And then typical junior is like 8 to nowadays, 16 nowadays. I can't remember. I used to have all this stuff memorized, but they changed the age grid so much. They
change it so much. It's usually like the tops of those are usually 11 or 12 or 12 or 13. So you're close.
Yeah. And there's it's something like that. And, but gyms were having a hard time, fielding teams within those specific age groups. You get a kid, it's like with those age groups and skill levels. So you get a kid who kind of got into cheer late, they're 17 years old or they're 16 years old, and they have level 2 skills. They'd be a great fit on your junior 2 team, but they just aged out. And so now you don't really have a team for this kid. They're not skilled enough to be on any of your higher level teams. They're not young enough to be on, this lower level team, right? And so gyms were like having a real hard time like placing kind of these obscure athletes. And so I guess like 2 years in a row at the USASF conference, people lobbied, like these gyms were lobbying for, hey, can we do something about these age brackets? Like we're having a really hard time placing these athletes. And so last year they sent out a survey to all the coaches and said, hey, what do you think of changing the age grid? And they said, should we change juniors to this age grid? Or should we come up with something called junior flex and do this? And it completely got denied. Everyone was like, me personally, when I voted, I said this specifically. I said, you know what? I would be open to the idea of widening the age gap, but either way, it can't happen right now. We've already placed teams. This happened in August last year. We've already placed teams. We've already put kids specifically on teams, and this would mess up our whole season doing it right now. So if you guys want to change the age grid, that's fine by me. Change it to whatever, but push it off until, this shouldn't be done right now in the middle of the season. And apparently that was like kind of the genesis, or not the genesis, the
catalyst,
not the just what everyone was feeling, right?
Consensus.
Yeah, consensus. There we go. Of like the industry, right? And so they say, cool, they tabled it. And then it obviously came about at the start of the season, said, hey, we're launching these new age divisions, Youth Flex and Junior Flex, which basically just gives the age grid, I think it's a year, maybe 2 years younger on the bottom on both of those age groupings, youth and junior, and then 1 year older on the top age. So, they're just new age groupings, but everything else is the same. It seems like lots of parents feel like it's like a B class type of, just second class like division, like, oh, this isn't like real cheerleading. This is like fake cheerleading, like rec league, bush league stuff. But they're just a new way to classify ages. So I think that sets the table for what flex is.
Interesting. Okay. I like it. What do you say about the wider age gap? I think there were some concerns voiced from parents about we don't need our little ones being paired with much older ones because the older ones are obviously in different stages of life and talking about different things than maybe what a 7-year-old would be talking about.
100%. Yeah. And I think the thing to keep in mind with flex divisions is that I don't foresee, and maybe it will happen, but I don't foresee that flex is going to be a whole team of 17-year-olds or 16-year-olds, whatever that top age is, and a whole team of 7-year-olds, right? And I know that they're allowed, but I feel like, just given my gym experience, it just seems like a good thing to place athletes where you're just not really sure where they're going to go. Where you're going to have the one oldest kid on the team. We have 2 flex teams. We have a youth flex and a junior flex. We have a youth flex 2 and a junior flex 3. Our youth flex 2, we had a youth 2 last year. And it's basically the same team we had last year, right? It's just all those kids, and now they're all older, right? Now, some kids who are going to age out now get to be on the team 1 more year. And so they were okay on the team the year before. Now they're okay on the team this year. So, it's basically the same team. Now, obviously, we got some more kids that came in, but it's a lot of the same kids we had on the team last year, but they got 1 more year of eligibility on that team. But, even with our junior flex, what I see is that, not that gyms are trying to really use the full gamut of the ages, but sometimes you just have athletes, not sometimes, every year you have athletes where you're just like, I don't know where to place this one specific kid because of their age and because of their skill level. And this happened to us several times in the past, where we had a kid who had been doing our elite teams, right? We had a junior 1 for a long time. And then, and they're either on junior 1 and then junior 2, but they're aging out of juniors. And then it was like, well, our only senior team was a senior 3, right? Well, senior 3, senior 4, right? And above. And so if they didn't have level 3 skills by the time they aged out of juniors, we were in a real hard place. And so many times we put those kids back onto our senior prep team, right? And so you've been doing junior 2 for the last couple of years. Now you're going to senior prep level 1. Those kids all quit. We didn't keep any of those kids. All those kids end up quitting the sport. So I understand, where I'm sitting there trying to place teams and we just don't have a place to put these kids. And we go, well, that you just don't have the talent for senior 3, right? We have to put you on the senior 1 prep team. And those kids go, yeah, thanks, but no thanks, right? And so I understand gyms, especially small gyms, where they really are counting on every single athlete's tuition, to keep the lights on and to make sure they have a gym, where they're like, I can't afford to lose any kids. Like, we've got to find a place for these kids. And, they end up putting them on teams they probably shouldn't be on, just to kind of keep them in the door.
That's some feedback that a mom at a D2 gym gave me too. She said, we love it because it helps our gym form a team that we otherwise wouldn't have been able to have because of age restrictions. And I thought I think I even responded, said, that's a really good perspective. I appreciate that. Never thought about it like that. And you're not a small gym and you still kind of struggle with that. Not so much as not having the team, but maybe not the strength of the team that you want because of of some of the age restrictions. And there was one team that my daughter was on that the parents all said, man, if we could keep these girls together for one more year, imagine how powerful they would be. And it just wasn't possible because so many of them aged up into a senior level and they had to split up. So it's interesting.
And I'm not saying that hey, Jason, how would you solve this problem that we have with gyms not being able to place kids? I'm not saying my solution would have been to do flex divisions. I'm just saying I understand how we got here in the industry. Again, not that I necessarily agree with it, but I think at the end of the day, if you have a 7-year-old and the gym goes, hey, we want to put your 7-year-old on this team with these older kids, parents, you guys have a voice to go, hey, I really don't feel, I know she has her level 3 skills, but I would much rather her stay on the mini 1 team. Can we, and listen to your gym or, have a conversation, open up that dialogue there. And, this is very true. Years ago, my very first year when I was at American, all the parents are unhappy with what team their kid made. So all these kids are on, and we have all these parent meetings. And the only changed one kid's team based off that meeting. And it was, the dad said, I just don't want my daughter wearing a crop top. She had made senior level 1 and we changed her. Well, he was trying to get her on junior level 2, but she'd made senior level 1 and he brought up this thing about her wearing a crop top. And I said, that's fair. I hear you, Dad. I hear you loud and clear. We'll go ahead. We'll put her on youth level 1. And we end up moving her to the youth level 1 team. Right. And, but I say all that to say, like, it wasn't, now again, they originally came into the meeting, tried to get on junior level 2, but him bringing up that point about, I just don't want my daughter in a crop top. I'm like, yo, hey, Dad, I feel you. All right, we'll go ahead and move her to youth level 1. She's not allowed to wear a crop top, and we'll do that. So I think conversations like that, hey, I just don't want my 7-year-old with 16-year-olds, I would assume your gym would listen or at least hear you out, and you guys can hopefully come to an agreement. And if they don't, sometimes you just don't have a choice. Like, hey, we don't have a mini level 1 this year, This is the only team she could be on. But if they don't, then maybe it's not the gym for you, There you go. I said it.
Your skin is thickening, getting that thick skin. Okay, so let's talk about it's funny we complain about being there being too many divisions, and here we are adding more divisions. Let me back up even more. There's lots of divisions. There are a million score sheets, it seems like, and people in the industry are calling it the return to the wild, wild west in cheerleading, where kind of everybody just kind of does whatever they want, and if you don't like it, you go to this gym or this competition, or you fall under this score sheet. And it seems that I have no authority to say that it's getting out of control, but it seems a little chaotic, still being kind of from the outside in, not knowing how things work. It still seems chaotic. Is it chaotic? What's your take?
Yeah, I think that, when I listen to, when I bring on some of these like old school, like legacy gym owners, we just had True Hall owner Maryland Twisters on not too long ago. Her, or like Orson from Twist and Shout. Who else? I'm trying to think of someone else who like said like some stupid high number. But like both of them are talking about the first years they go to NCA and they place 50th. Like we went to NCA that year and it was our first year and we got 50th place that year, right? And they're not exaggerating. Like we were literally in the 50s. Like we just don't see divisions anywhere near that anymore. Like 3 teams, when you go to like not like an NCA, but just like a regular competition now, your grand nationals, right? 3-4 teams in a division is like a deep division nowadays, And And so, we've gotten away from competing. And, and it's, part of that is, the same, 10% of the gyms do 90% of the winning in this industry, And when you have to compete against, California All Stars or Cheer Athletics or, Top Gun or whoever it is, and they're winning and getting all the kids, right? And these smaller gyms are losing their kids to these gyms. Gyms are like, dude, I don't want to compete against these guys, right? Because every time we compete against them, they mollywop us and we're losing all of our kids. Like, we got to do something, right? And so they just keep breaking these things off and trying to, but it's not event producers. I think we put a lot of the blame on the event producers / USASF, right? That they are doing this.
They're creating too many divisions. They're doing flex. They're doing this. They're doing that. Yeah.
But it's the gyms who are begging for these things, right? It's the gyms doing this, right? And so we're kind of talking out, not parents, but gyms are talking out both sides of their mouth because they're like, yo, why we keep creating all these divisions? But at the same time, hey, I'm not trying to go against California All Stars. I heard this. I have no idea if this EP was trying to milk me up or, butter me up or whatever. But I was talking about competing. And I said, well, how many gyms she's trying to get me to go to her event. Well, how many gyms are going to be there? Who's going to be there? Because we need to make sure we compete. I said, well, I don't know. I talked to them. They said they didn't want to compete against you guys. They said they're not going to be ready to compete against you guys. I'm like, dude, what are we talking about right now? And I have no idea if that actually came from the other gym's mouth, but that event producer told me that, And so, like, we got to stop being scared of competing against other gyms. And I will say, parents, we've got to be okay with our kids losing, and just because, the gym down the street beats us doesn't mean you have to immediately go to the gym down the street, Now, you can go to the gym down the street because they just are more organized or whatever.
Or because they have the American sign on the door.
I heard that. AKSC.com. But when everything's based on winning and losing, coaches make decisions and gyms make decisions based on winning and losing. And so they'd rather get first place. They'd rather get second place out of 2 teams than, 10th place out of 10. Heaven forbid 50th. That ain't happening.
50th. That would hurt for sure. And it's a really tough conversation because I see both sides of it. I see the prestige that some gyms bring to the table and that some events bring to the table. And then I see events that are absolutely incredible that people are missing out on because they don't have enough teams there, or there's not enough competition in a certain division, or whatever reason coaches don't bring their teams to those events. And so it's hard because we're talking about wanting to have more options and having competition, which drives down prices in theory. And it's not an easy ship to turn, I think.
Yeah.
Do you think that's because of tradition, or what do you make of that?
Dude, you have to get someone smarter on the podcast than me to answer that
I'm not
question.
smart enough to even know how to ask the question.
You're going to have to get Bill on this podcast. Because, well, you had Jeff Webb on. Let's go. How was that guy? You like him?
He's a nice guy. He really is. He's got a great team around him, too. I really enjoy. I've kept in touch with his team a bit, and they're just so nice. But yeah, it's tough because people want to blame. Speaking of Bill and Jeff, and people want to blame Varsity for everything. And I'm not here to say that I am the poster child for Varsity advocacy or anything. I've gotten recently, not accused, but there's rumor that I'm like working for or with Varsity. Like, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. People want to blame Varsity for everything, and there's some stuff that I hear, well, Varsity, it's just a money grab, and it's people are doing this and Varsity that, and in the Facebook groups, and I want to be like, No, if first of all, that USASF member call is open to all members. So if you compete at Worlds, if you compete at a lot of these gyms, you're already parents, your kid's already a member of USASF because you participate in a number of these events. Those calls are open to the public, and I hopped on one of them, and it's not the USASF dictating what you gym owners and directors and coaches are going to do. It's them listening to them going, where are we at with adding this division? Where are we at with doing this? Like, I can't bring my program, I can't justify this cost if this is how you're going to do things. And so I kind of I feel sorry for Varsity sometimes because they just get blamed for every bad thing that happens in cheerleading when sometimes it's not even anyone's fault. It's just the way that things have shaken out.
No, yeah, I feel ya. Yeah, and I like Varsity. I really do. I'm not a Varsity hater. And so I have said this many times before. I think the industry is better because of Varsity. Now, are they a perfect event producer? Not by any means. They're not a perfect company by any means. But the industry is better because of Varsity. It really is. We have, scoring that is inconsistent as people say the scoring is. It is significantly more consistent than it was 20 years ago, right? 15 years ago, 10 years ago. Now, again, is the score sheet perfect? It's not perfect, but we at least understand when they make changes. We're on this newest iteration of the score sheet, which changed a few years ago. Now, I wouldn't have made the changes that they made to it, but I remember just the public discourse about the score sheet and what we needed to shift to. And Varsity listened to the coaches and the gym owners, and we shifted that way. Again, I was on the other side of the fence as far as the changes were concerned, but I heard all of it, and Varsity heard it and said, hey, well, we'll go ahead and make an adjustment to it. When I think about Varsity kind of the same way I think about McDonald's, just that it's consistent. When you go to McDonald's, whether it's in Colorado or California or France for that matter, it's the same. The fries, the Big Mac, whatever, all of it's the same, and it's going to be this consistent product. It's not gourmet, 5-star Michelin, all that stuff, but it is consistent. You know what you're going to get. And I think a lot of times some of these other event producers, you don't know which you're going to get. And, when I as a gym have to bring our parents somewhere, even if I don't do a bad job, even though it's not my job to run the event for these event producers, when they do a bad job, it's a poor reflection on me, like,
well, you
dude,
hear
what's
about
Jason
it.
doing?
You hear about it.
Yeah.
You're the first line of defense.
Doing?
Yeah.
100%. Why are we doing it at this event? This thing was a waste of time, blah, blah. Like, that all reflects on me. And I'm like, yeah, I know it was a bad event. I wish it would have been better too, We gotta make sure, like, I'm off on a super tangent, but the point is, Varsity gives, I think the industry is better because of Varsity. There are a lot of things that need to be better, but I think just flat out, just blame it. Yeah, Varsity catches a lot of heat. My toilet's not working right now. It's Varsity's fault. All right, I guess so, bruh. Varsity just seems to get blamed for everything. And again, a lot of it, just like we were talking about divisions before, a lot of things that happen are things that, we are asking for, that Varsity gets blamed for. NCAA All Star Nationals sells out in minutes every single year. Every single year sells out in minutes, right? The system crashes every year. They have no reason whatsoever to lower their prices at all. They sell out in minutes. And so we complain about the rising price of competitions, but as long as we as consumers are packing these places out, they have no reason to lower their prices. Basic business 101, right? If you're maxed out, you have to raise your prices, right? You have to, right? So, until we start deciding to go to Frisco instead of Dallas or Houston this year, then, they're going to keep raising those prices, right? And as long as One Up in Nashville sell out in minutes and, Spirit Sports sells out in minutes, they're going to keep raising their prices, So yeah, EPs, we need y'all to give us something good to go to, Can I give some quick advice to EPs real quick?
Yeah, please.
Independent event producers. Guys, all independent event producers, just use the United score sheet. Just use the United score sheet. Gyms do not want to go back and forth between score sheets all season long. We don't want to do it. It's the last thing I want to do. So the barrier to entry rises every time you have a different score sheet. Independent event producers should be lowering the barrier of entry. It should not, right? Like NCA increases the barrier of entry. They say, hey, you can't have crossovers. Go between levels. You can't have a kid on a level 3 and a level 4 team. They say that we're going to have deeper divisions. So like the USASF says you can't split a division until so many teams. Like you can't split into A and B until so many teams. NCA raises that number by like 2 or 3 or something like that. And they say, well, we're not going to split until this many teams, right? So they make everything about the competition harder, but they can do that because they're selling out every single season. But when these other events barely hitting numbers, you barely hit 50 teams at your events, and then you want to make the barrier of entry super, like, why? I'm not going to go there, right? Make my life easy to go to your events. Don't make it harder. There you go. Rant done.
It's interesting. It's an interesting thought. No, really. And that's what I mean by wild, wild west especially with score sheets. And I'm looking at these event schedules and it's like, this is the division on this score sheet and this is the division on that score sheet, and trying to juggle it all, and it makes my head hurt, actually.
Yeah. It's a little ridiculous, right? As a parent, I just can't imagine you're a parent. I see how we got here, but I'm a brand new parent in the sport, and I'm looking and I go junior 1 on the United score sheet, and then I see junior 1 on the open score. Like, what's the difference between these two? Oh, we're on 2 different score sheets. Why are they on 2 different score sheets? It doesn't make sense. It just seems like, why do we have so many divisions here, right? As a brand new parent, it just doesn't look. I could see how that wouldn't be attractive, right? I get whatever. I don't know. I digress.
We can't solve all the world's problems in one podcast episode. So tell me about your book coming out.
Talk about it. Upside Down, back again. A Parent's Guide to All Star Cheerleading. Yeah, I decided to write a book. And really, I just wanted it to be a book kind of from the gym's perspective, which is kind of like the podcast. One of the things I always hear, coaches will say this a lot, like, thank you. You're just so transparent, or parents will say this to me, like at competitions. You're so transparent on the podcast. And another coach said, I wish I could say that to our parents. And the reason why I can say it on the podcast is because I'm not specifically talking to Kristen Wheeler, I'm talking to, it's very generalized, moms, not moms in general or parents, but this is just a hypothetical situation that I'm talking about, right? And if I said, Kristen, that is like personal, right? And it could hurt your feelings. And I get that is hard to tell a parent face to face, or to tell your own parents, because, they're your customers and all that, right? And you're trying not to piss them off. But I can make generalized statements, and, hopefully parents can apply that to their situation without feeling personally attacked, right? And so I wanted to write the book from a coach's perspective and be as transparent as I could about why decisions get made that are sometimes head scratching. Hey, one of the chapters, my athlete has all the tumbling, right? They have all the level 3 tumbling, but they made a level 2 team, right? Like, why does that happen? So I try to go through all the reasons, all like the most common reasons why that would happen. And it's not that the gym is playing favorites. It's just, it could have been X, Y, or Z, like one of these things that it happened. I try to go through the score sheet and explain it as much as I could so that parents could at least have like a decent grasp of how it works. You're probably gonna need to read the chapter a couple of times. I think I say this in the book, but the more you read the chapter, the more you're gonna understand it. The more I every time I go through the score sheet, or every time they have a new score sheet, like I'm like, dude, that was what? And then I watch the video again and it starts to make more sense. I watch the video again, makes more sense. Watch the video again, and I go, okay, I understand, kind of the nuances of it now. So yeah, read that chapter several times, but I just tried to give perspective. I tried to tell parents the things they needed to hear that sometimes their gym won't always tell them face to face. Not even that they're trying to hide things. They just don't have the time, to tell them.
So you put it all out there. When can we get our little hands on it?
Actually, the ebook is now available on pre-order, depending on when you release this. But September 18th is the paperback and the hardback on Amazon. So you can get it there. And then, literally, like right before you text me and said, hey, we're on, I had hit upload on Instagram. Pre-orders. We're now taking pre-orders for ebook. So that is live right now.
That's so exciting.
Yeah, man.
What's the name of it again, and where can people get it?
Upside Down and Back Again on Amazon. And, I'm sure I'll have a billion links to it on my Instagram page. So just go to the Let's Talk Cheer podcast Instagram page, and I'm sure you will be able to find it there.
Love it. It's always a pleasure having you here and imparting your knowledge and wisdom.
It's always, this is like my second favorite thing to do in the world. It really is. Come on your podcast.
Be here and talk to me. Yeah, I knew that was the case.
About as good as a Henway. So,
Okay, here we go. Here we go. Oh, Jason, I love you.